I'm Laurence, and for those of you who don't know me, at the age of 49 I was diagnosed with autism. In fact, Aspergers Syndrome, ADHD and other motor issues. Now what this meant was I was perhaps more complacent in what I did, how I thought, than neurotypicals, because I think differently. Sometimes I just didn't think. What this really meant in layman's terms is that I was complacent. I didn't think about consequences. I was very impetuous in all weeks of life. Now, of course, one of the most important aspects of complacency is health. Having been brought up thinking that if you can eat, drink, nutritious food and nutrition, you are going to be healthy all your life. I read up so much about nutrition, so much on the internet, and if I could exercise regularly, what I forgot about was all the stress in my life, all the times when things didn't go my way. And of course, stress, whether it's physical, mental or emotional, plays a very important part of your health, my health. And this is something I never really thought about until only a few years ago. Anyway, when I was in my 30s, I had a very serious, life-threatening accident. I was in the kitchen of my home, and I had this big Amana fridge. And here am I, reading up about this new plug. It's a energy-saving plug. And what it meant, I had to get behind the fridge. And I knew if I tried to do it during the day, my wife would have said to me, "Are you crazy? You should get someone in to do it." But no, I decided to do it myself. And I chose to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't think about what I was doing. Got the footstool out. It was a collapsible footstool. 2 steps up, about a foot off the floor. I moved the fridge out, got up there. But I didn't think about one very important fact. I wasn't wearing shoes. I was wearing socks, and that my socks weren't gripping the steps properly. Of course, it was an accident waiting to happen, and it happened. I fell backwards. Not only did I fall backwards, it wasn't as though I landed on the floor. I landed with my back on a very sharp corner of a worktop. I was lying on the floor, writhing in agony. I managed to get myself up to my bedroom, and I said to my wife, "I think I've done myself a terrible injury." And she said, "Don't be ridiculous. Come back to bed, you're imagining it." But then perhaps she had been used to me doing daft things that I wasn't even aware of. Perhaps this was part of being autistic, part of having Aspergers Syndrome, part of ADHD, OCD or whatever. But of course I didn't know anything about this. All I know that I was in so much agony. Anyway, called an ambulance. They took me off to hospital. But because technology in the medical world wasn't great that way, they took x-rays and they couldn't find anything wrong with me. For the next 3 days I was sent home with painkillers. Lo and behold, I started developing hiccups. And guess what? Eventually I went back into the same hospital and I had a hemothorax. It turned out I smashed up 5 ribs in my back. flail segments. I lost 1.8 litres of blood on my left lung. A few weeks later, I had to have 2 blood transfusions for a staphylococci infection because, unfortunately, one of the surgeons had actually left a part of a scalpel inside of me. Wonderful, isn't it? It just shows you all about medical negligence. Unfortunately, this was an era in England where medical negligence, who knew about it? You couldn't do anything about it. Anyway, that's just a short story about perhaps if I didn't have Aspergers Syndrome or ADHD or OCD, I might have been able to think more clearly, be more aware of my surroundings. I'm telling you this just in case you are autistic, you have ADHD, OCD, or you know or care about someone who might have the same. Or you might be a parent, particularly a parent, that you've got to be so aware of your children, whether they are 5, 10, 20 or 50, just to make sure that they may not be complacent because they won't be able to see the dangers that you can be aware of.